Hello, I'm Laia and this is my 6-month Spanish update, and I'm a bit late with this one because it's technically my 7th month by now, but I still want to give a 6-month update because I plan to do these updates every 3 months because that just makes more sense. So if you haven't seen my previous videos, I do have a 3-month update up if you want to go watch that first. So basically this video is just a continuation of the first video I filmed. So I explained that I am going through a course that has units. The first A1 course has 10 units. I'm currently on unit 8, so I have 3 units left technically because I'm busy on unit 8. So 3 units left and then I will be done with A1 and move on to A2, which is exciting. Before I start, I just want to say I love what I'm doing. I love how I'm learning the language. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy having a teacher. I love my teacher. She's awesome. I just want to point out that what works for me might not work for you, and what works for me is not for everyone. What some people like, other people won't like, and what they like, other people won't like. So I also just want to say that everyone's brain works differently, everyone learns in a different way, and everyone enjoys something different. So just because you like something doesn't mean it works for everyone. Just remember that everyone's brain works differently, and I love what I'm doing. I'm really enjoying the process. So even though I've been learning for 7 months, I'm not a fluent speaker yet, but that's okay because I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm going at my own pace. And even though I'll talk about this later, I find speaking difficult, I really love reading and writing. So okay, so basically what I've learned in the past 3 months technically since the last video. So I learned the verb gustar, which I find really easy. I'm pretty good with gustar. I practiced ordering food, cooking, and Spanish meals, which was very fun. Ordering food is a bit tricky. I found that a bit difficult. Then I also learned the imperative, which is giving instructions to someone. Those conjugations are again something to get used to. Just practice. Practice will make everything easier in the long run. Then I also learned about using the metro, giving instructions and directions, and asking for favors, and those all include the imperative as well. And I also learned about things happening right at this moment. So for example, haciendo, durmiendo, things happening right now. And I also learned about physical characteristics and character description, so describing what someone looks like and describing their personality, which was really fun as well. So that is currently where I'm at. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 3 months worth of work, so with 1 lesson a week with my teacher. So like I said before, I'm really enjoying this course. I really love it. I think everything follows a very logical order and way of learning, and I really understand that they teach you the things that you'll need first before kind of fun. So like ordering food, taking the metro, asking for directions, asking your friends to go out, that kind of thing. Things that you really would need to kind of get around if you're in a Spanish speaking country. So that's really cool. I've also learned about how to ask your friends to go out, how to make plans with people, which is also a bit difficult, but everything gets easier. So what I realized is that things I learned a few months ago were difficult at the time, but now looking back, they're easy. So things get easier with time, and if you're struggling with something at the moment, just remember that, because things I did 4 or 5 months ago were really difficult at the time, but they're easy now. But that's a good thing to keep in mind. I also just last week had my first lesson on past tense, and this was difficult because past tense has all its own conjugations, so it was difficult, tricky, but hopefully it will get easier and I'll get used to it. But seeing as I've only had 1 lesson on past tense, it's okay that I'm finding it a bit difficult, but It's really messing with my mind that all the conjugations are different. Okay, so now talking about things I find difficult. So the thing I find the most difficult still, and I said this in my previous video and it stays the same now, is speaking. Speaking is so difficult, and like I said, it's like my brain and my mouth and my vocal cords have not made a connection. I can think in my head when I'm alone what I could say, what would sound good. When I write, I can think, I can like flow out of my brain, but as soon as I need to speak, it's more difficult. Although I am speaking a lot more than I used to. Still not a lot and still not very good, but more. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm speaking more than I used to, even though it's not very good and even though I make mistakes all the time. So many mistakes, but I'm speaking more than I used to. So I'm still finding visual and audio content like videos and podcasts and things a bit difficult to watch because I don't enjoy them. So most comprehensible input channels on YouTube just speak about things that I don't really enjoy, and I only have a little amount of time to watch videos in my day, and I like to spend that time watching videos I understand, which is bad, I know. I need to watch more Spanish, and I'm really going to try. I want to make that a goal for this next 3 months or quarter, I should say, to watch more things in Spanish. I just wish I could find something in Spanish that I enjoy more, like art channels, like think Drawing with Waffles or Mirabila, but in Spanish, or Books and Lala, but in Spanish, that kind of vibe. So I just really want to find something that I enjoy in Spanish, and that's been difficult. And another thing that I've been finding difficult, which is a bit stupid, is like very common verbs, like verbs that you use all the time and that I hear all the time. They don't want to stay in my brain. So what I've done is made a little sticky note that's at the side of my computer at all times with the most common verbs like hacer and decir, just so I can remember them. It's gotten better since I've had that sticky note, but seriously, it's a bit annoying not remembering the most common verbs that I see all the time. And then I remember the most obscure words, but not the most common verbs. So I guess that's just my brain. Okay, now to things that are kind of like wins, things that I've succeeded in. Number 1, this book, 101 Conversations in Simple Spanish by Ollie Richards. I read this entire book. I finished it. And I understood the story. I followed the whole story. I understood what was happening. So that was really, really cool. And that's a big win for me, because a few months ago, I would not have understood this. But now I did. So that's really, really cool. I must say the first 3 quarters of the book was easier. So in the last quarter, I found it more difficult. I think the book progressively gets more difficult, which would make sense, because in the last quarter I just about could follow the story, even though it was pretty difficult. Throughout the whole book, I did not understand every single word, but I understood the story and I could follow what was happening. So that was really cool, and I felt very proud of myself. So if you are a very beginner in Spanish and you can't read proper Spanish novels yet, I highly recommend this book because it's very easy to understand. And I think also the reason for that is because it's in dialogue. So it's very short sentences. It's not like a story written in a way where it's like, he said, da-na-na-na-na, he replied, da-na. It's basically a dialogue, so you just have the parts that people said, and I think that really helped to make it more comprehensible and easier to understand. Then there's this book, Short Stories in Spanish for Beginners, also by Ollie Richards. I've started this book. My bookmark is about there. I think I've read 2 stories in this, but I must say this book is a lot more difficult to understand than this one, And the reason for that is because it's not in dialogue form, it is in an actual story form, and also the words themselves are more difficult than in the conversation book. So this book has been a bit more of a challenge than the first one. Another win that I'm quite proud of is that I understand a lot more than I used to understand. And during my lessons with my teacher only talks Spanish to me the whole time. I would say 98% of the time she speaks Spanish to me, only when I really don't understand, or when she's trying to explain something that's a bit more tricky, she says it in English. But most of the time when I don't understand something, she explains it in Spanish, which is really cool. And the fact that she speaks Spanish most of the time, like 98% of the time, and I understand what she's saying most of the time, sometimes I still don't understand, but I understand the gist of what she's saying most of the time, even if I just catch one word and then understand from there. I'm so proud of myself for understanding and having a lesson once a week for an hour long that's almost completely in Spanish. So that's pretty cool. Another thing I've been really enjoying, that's not quite a win, but I've really been enjoying it, is Disney music in Spanish. So I did look for Spanish music a while ago. I couldn't really find something I liked, but I struggle to find music I like in general. So that's not just a Spanish problem. So for example, Frozen. So I've been listening to the Frozen soundtrack in Spanish, and obviously Encanto, which I've been listening to in Spanish and in English, because some songs like Surface Pressure I like more in English, but then other songs like Dos Oruguitas I like more in Spanish. So I've been listening to both, and obviously I went to watch Encanto and it was beautiful, but I've really been enjoying listening to the soundtrack in Spanish, even though I don't really understand, because obviously it's quite fast. I've been enjoying knowing the English version and then listening to the Spanish version and seeing if I can understand some things and picking things up from that. What I've also really noticed is that even though it's the same song, they say different things. The words are different, even though it's the same song. And I never would have guessed that had I not listened to both and I kind of understood both. So I've just found that really interesting. Like, for example, Surface Pressure. The English version starts with I am the strong one, whereas the Spanish version starts with siempre fuerte, which is always strong. So same song, different lyrics. So very interesting. Yeah, I've just really been enjoying it. So if you have any Disney songs that are really great in Spanish, let me know. Also, Circle of Life from Lion King, pretty cool in Spanish. And I don't know why I've been enjoying Disney music more than other music, but I'm just going with it. Things I still use to this day is Spanish Dict. Spanish Dict is a website that translates English to Spanish or Spanish to English, and it's really great. It has the most accurate translations. It's a lot better than Google Translate, and the reason I really love it is because it has all the conjugations of a word. So if you just put in a word, like a verb obviously, it has lists and tables of conjugations of every single conjugation you could ever be looking for. So that's why it's really cool. Anyway, so that is it for my 6/7 month update. I'm really happy about where I am in the process. I don't think that I'm learning too slow or that I'm behind. I'm really happy and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and that's the most important. It's like one of the most fun things I'm doing in my life at the moment, so I'm just really enjoying it. Anyway, if you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know how your language learning journey is going in the comments. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.